Absolutely. And Alice, do you want to just introduce yourself? Because some
Sure. I
people
know there's
know
a lot
you,
of new
but yeah.
new faces to me on here. I'm Alice Owsley. I'm a fishing guide and outfitter. I live in West Yellowstone. I operate Riverside Anglers, guiding on the Madison and in Yellowstone National Park. And I this will be my 25th season guiding fishing, 24 here in the West Yellowstone area, and then one season in Alaska prior to that.
Awesome. And thank you so much for just being a part of this event. And we're happy that you're going to be in town. And,
Thank
always
you.
such a great support of women and an incredible instructor and guide and just always united on the fly. And now I fish, I belong. So it's thank
Yes.
you.
Well, thank you, Heather. I appreciate that. And yes, I was not at the event last year, but I was on the call and tried to answer questions and give some local knowledge. But I'm going to shout out to Catherine at the very bottom, Robinson, who just joined, who is also a fishing guide in West Yellowstone. She works at Blue Ribbon Flies and just ran a very successful Take a Kid fishing day for West Yellowstone eighth graders. So we were out on the water together just recently. So yeah, you can bug her with a few questions too.
Awesome. Catherine, you want to introduce yourself? Hi, friend. It's nice to see you.
Hello. Yes, my name's Catherine. I am a teacher at West Yellowstone School, and I run that Take a Kid Fishing Day every year. And I'm also a guide in the summertime, so that's me.
And let me know if you have photos. I'd love to share that too with iFish because it's so important to share the future and everything that y'all are doing as well. So I'll
Yeah,
connect with
sure.
you offline about all of that. So cool. Awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to share my my PowerPoint. We've already had one event, North Carolina Fish and Hang, great success. We actually got blown out on Friday, but those rivers quickly came back into shape and the fishing was really good this year. And so if you've already been to one of the Q&As, it's going to be the same, excuse me, the same format, basically. Let me share my screen. Okay. Perfect. And can y'all just see just the one screen? Okay, awesome. So welcome to the second, more than likely annual. West Yellowstone is such a popular place to go and just an incredible place to visit regardless if you're fishing or not. So welcome to the West Yellowstone, Montana Q&A session for our Fish and Hang event. And this presentation will be recorded, all of the slides. So we're going to have a PDF that we will send out to everybody. So feel free to please, if you want, take pictures or take a picture of whatever leader setups or whatever you see, but do know that this will be uploaded to our YouTube channel as well as we'll send out the PDF. So, and a lot of this information has really been in the website, which I'll talk more about in all of the emails, but the reason why we do this is just to help answer your questions, ease any stress, kind of help you do some of that work with the DIY fishing and just share all of the knowledge that we've put together for you all for this event. We're going to do a full overview and I'll go through all of this. Erin, do you want to introduce yourself?
The mute button gets me every time. Yes. Hi, everybody. I'm Erin Kimsey. I go by she, her, hers. I live in Northern Virginia. I've been working with United Women and I Fish I Belong for what has it been now, Heather? 3-4 years?
Something, a long time, a great amount of time, which is very thankful for. We're thankful for that.
Well, thanks for having me. And yeah, so I've been helping try to coordinate some of the logistics and planning. And so look for myself and Kelly, who you'll see on the next slide. We will be helping Heather try to take care of things. And if you need anything, feel free to reach out at any time.
Awesome. And I know many of you, but I'm Heather Hodson, go by the pronouns she, her, hers. I live in Spokane and I'm a starter. I like to start lots of things. So I started United, started iFish I Belong, started Fly Fish Instruct. I love community and I love to teach and I love to bring people together and dance on the river, have fun, and just feel welcomed. So I'm happy that you all are here and it's going to be a really, really good event. Kelly Kirsch. Kelly lives in Pennsylvania. She's actually tarpon fishing right now with one of our friends, Meredith McCord, and they all draw names and it's whatever boat they're on, and she's on the evening boat. So she's not going to be here for the Q&A. So hopefully she's jumping a tarpon right now as we speak. But Kelly has been on the United team as well for the last couple of years. Also a great help, one of the main co-hosts of this event. We also are going to have almost every single one of our board members for iFishiBelong and team members at the event. So we're all going to, and I should have had a picture of this, but we're all going to have yellow lanyards that say iFishiBelong. So if you see somebody like throughout, when at an event or our hangs or when we're out fishing together, just feel free to reach out to them. They know they could probably answer most of your questions. And so that way it's just easier for you to find people that can help. First and foremost, just really wanted to thank the sponsors. Putting on these fish and hang events can be a little expensive, and just running a nonprofit can be expensive. So huge shout out to Trout Routes, Yellowstone Beer Company in West Yellowstone. They've donated their space for our hang on Friday night. So really excited about that. It's a great space. I'll talk about that here in a second. Guadalupe River Trout Unlimited, they are in Texas, but they're supporters. So it's really cool that they're sponsoring this event, United on the Fly, as well as Fly Fish Instruct. So as many of you have come to us more than likely through United on the Fly and these fish and hang events, basically this format has been going on. We've been doing this for almost a decade. So they originally started on the Missouri River, where everybody just went to the mow. We all got our own guides, or we DIY fished. We got lodging, and we just had evening hangouts. And that's we've continued that format, and now truly trying to be as inclusive as possible. We're also mindful of locations and wanting to make sure that we're offering different fish and hang locations all over the United States, and who knows, maybe the world. But this year we've done North Carolina. That was a couple of weeks ago. We have Oregon next weekend. We have Montana, and then we're putting together the New York Fish and Hang, and our dear friend Rachel Finn and Joanne Hesney are also going to be the co-hosts, as well as myself, for New York. So next year we're looking at Durango, Colorado, possibly Texas. North Carolina will be another staple, and I'm sure Montana will be happening again. And as I mentioned, many of y'all have had, and I'm saying y'all because I was I was in Georgia and North Carolina for 10 days, and I don't know, it's in me now. But United on the Fly has joined iFishiBelong. So basically what that means is iFishiBelong, we founded iFishiBelong with several founding members in November of last year. And basically that's kind of the parent overall organization. And we have 3 different programs that now are a part of iFishiBelong, and United is one of those. So we're always going to have a continual focus of advocacy, and we're advocating for women, and that's going to be with United on the Fly. Another group called Ubuntu Fly Anglers, which is 2 Black anglers founded that group. So that's advocating for Black and brown anglers. We also are continuing All Kids Fish, and that's going to be just advocacy for kids in the future. So really exciting stuff is happening with iFishiBelong. And truly, at the end of the day, we can have all of these different groups, but it takes everybody to make change. And that's why we chose to create the nonprofit as iFishiBelong, because we want to support all species, all techniques, all people, and we need to bring all people together to really to change it. So that's where we're at with iFishiBelong. As far as the fish and hang missions, this is all really tailored for affordability. We understand that fishing can be expensive, traveling. So truly we wanted to create an event for everyone that's budget friendly. Basically these events, people camp, you can get your own hotel, you can, walk and wade, you can DIY fish, you can hire a guide. Really what we want to do is help facilitate a location and area, do a lot of the research for you to help you have a successful and fun weekend and meet lifelong friends, truly. Everyone's welcome. So all of these fish and hang events are not just women specific. You'll notice that most people that we bring into these events are mostly women. And that I think is just because of United Women on the Fly and just the community and the, who we attract. But all are welcome. So if you have partners or kiddos or, whatever, please, everyone is welcome to these events. We do have a Facebook group, and I know many of you are in the Facebook group. And so that's something we just really encourage you all to be a part of, because this is a great spot for you to ask questions, for you to connect, try to find, somebody to share a boat or maybe a hotel room or whatever it might be. We'll also be posting in the group as well. So any updates, any notices, whenever I send out an email, I'll also put that in the Facebook group. I know some people have had some issues, aren't getting the emails, or they're going to spam. So I want to just make sure that everyone has the opportunity to be able to see all of the information that's going out. And this is last year, we all went to 3 Mile Bridge or $3 Bridge on Saturday. And this isn't everyone that was there, but a few of us. And truly the whole reason it's Fish and Hang is because of Rachel Finn, and her statement is it's all about the hang. And that's true. It's so fun to get to know new people, get to fish with people, net other people's fish, and just build community. And that's why we have these different Fish and Hang events. So some land acknowledgement. So here we are, we're looking, we are going to be on the Shoshone territory here in Montana. So just, we always encourage you to look at, who was here before us. When we're looking here at West Yellowstone, kind of the circle, you can see that Island Park's around here, Yellowstone. It's kind of West Yellowstone is close to a lot of things, but also far from a lot of things. So we're going to talk a little bit about locations and how to get there. Very close to Yellowstone. And truly the reason why we chose June was because West Yellowstone specifically, this is when some of the hatches start to happen on the Madison, on the Henry's Fork. It's a great location where you can fish the Henry's Fork, which is going to be in Idaho, where you can fish the Madison, which is in Montana, but you can also fish the West Yellowstone area of Yellowstone National Park. So it's just a great central location for that time of year. Traveling, so many of you are probably going to be flying into Bozeman and or into Idaho Falls. So it's about 2 hours either way. Gorgeous drive, whichever direction you go. Jackson's about 3 hours. Salt Lakes and Spokane. So for me, it's about 7.5 hours. If you want to look for a bigger airport that costs less money, Salt Lake's probably the closest, largest airport to you. I guess Idaho Falls isn't too small either, but looking at it that way. This year, we have implemented just a minimal registration fee of $50. So thank you all so much for that. Really, this fee is instrumental in just offsetting the costs with travel logistics, all of these online platforms, Zoom, email, website, all of that. And also it's securing spots for others. So this year we were pretty excited and just that we could offer 20 scholarships. So trying to just make sure that all people are able to come to these events despite their socioeconomic status. So thank you all so much for just that support. Within your registration, you get a lot of things. And one of them, the one and most important thing is going to be the registrant website. So if you have not checked this out yet, we highly encourage you to. It's the Fish and Hang Montana Reserved. And basically this specific website is going to have all of the information that we've listed in this Q&A session. But I've also am working on, we have a Google map. So this is where it'll show like where our Fish and Hang locations are. It'll share some DIY locations, that sort of thing. So, and you scroll through it and it'll give you all of the information that you're going to need for the entire weekend. Now, you also get swag that's included in your registration. I know many of you have already selected your swag. We did a pre-sale. So if you missed out on the pre-sale, no problem. We still have 41 products that y'all can choose from. So there's a lot of stuff. So it's all in your email, all of the stuff, but basically you go into registration swag. If you've registered, you use the Fish and Hang coupon, and it's a $25 US value. So you can go in and select whatever your product is, and then we will make sure that we have it there for you to pick up at one of the Hang locations. Coupon codes. So if you've registered for 2, there's a different coupon code in Canada with the exchange rate. So we also have a different coupon code for Canada as well. Again, all of this information is going to be in your emails that have been sent out. And we're going to send out an email that's 1 month away, basically, that'll have this recording in that email. So all of this information will be in there as well. So I know many of you attended the live summer trout fishing techniques online course that we did. If you missed out on it, no problem. It's all recorded. So again, this is in your email. This is another perk of having the registration. It's a 2-hour online course for fishing the summer. So a great way to kind of just educate yourself and get prepared to come out to the West. You also get 20% off a pro account with Trout Routes. Trout Routes is a great app. They were actually just purchased by Onyx, so I'm sure many of you have heard of that. But it's a great way to see, what's private land, what's public land, and for you to be able to find different locations to fish. Your registration also includes nice nightly socials. We've paid for pavilions. We've paid for permits. We're going to have dedicated co-hosts. Our whole entire team is going to be here. So I'm really excited for you all to meet everybody. And really a commitment to support local businesses and really highlight women and underrepresented owners and guides in the region. You have a Montana checklist. I'm sure many of you have seen this. Again, we're trying to make this as easy for you all as possible. As far as the itinerary goes, so this is going to be the most updated itinerary. This is going to be on the registrant website, and it'll also be in your emails. But basically, some are going to show up on Thursday, June 20th. Friday, it's going to be an explore. Everyone's going to be just out fishing. We are going to have our social hang at Yellowstone Beer Company in West Yellowstone. We're going to have that at 6:30 p.m., 6:30 to 8. It's a great location, and I'll show a picture of that. Actually, I have slides for all of this, so I'm just going to go through all of them specifically. Swag pickup. So you all have chosen your swag. If you have not chosen your swag by the time of Montana, we will be bringing extra stuff so you can choose a shirt and or a hat. But the places that you can pick it up is going to be on the evening, both Friday and Saturday night hangs, as well as Saturday morning social fishing day. So, and again, this will be in your email. So the Friday night hang, this is what the Yellowstone Brewing Company looks like. It's a large space. As many of you know who came to Big Sky Anglers last year, we outgrew it within like the first 15 minutes. Like it was pretty incredible how many people were at the Friday night social. So the Yellowstone Beer Company has graciously donated the upstairs to us. So we'll have that area. That's where you can do your swag pickup. There's beverages, there's beer, there's non-alcoholic. They also have a full bar, and they have great food. So this is the time where you can really support local, buy some beverages and some food from them, and just hang out. And if we grow past the upper area, then, I'm sure we'll be taking over some of the downstairs as well. But really cool that they are giving this to us. New to this year is a Saturday social fish. So, after doing all of these events, I felt like Saturday, I really wanted to have a little bit more community. And some of us went out and fished at $3 Bridge, but it was really with all of the co-hosts, what we decided is that we wanted to have a Saturday social fish. So what that entailed was we had to work with the Montana Department of Fish and Wildlife and Parks, and we were able to get a permit. So we paid for a permit for us to go out and fish the $3 Bridge together on the Madison River. So what that's going to look like is for those that want to, if you're coming by yourself and you don't know where to go fish, or you just want to meet up with others and just have a great day of fun and community, come join us. So I'm gonna kick it off at 9:30. There's like a little pavilion overhead thing. I'm just gonna kind of talk about leader setups, match the hatch just for the Madison, the Pacific River, help you all kind of get set up. And then we're just all gonna just go out and fish. Now, from $3 Bridge, you can walk either up or down and on both sides. If you want to have an area where you're not going to see anybody and you want to have the solitude fishing, this is not the place for you to go. So what I mean by that is, because we're going to be together, you're going to be fishing next to somebody, right? So again, this is a social fishing time. So this is, if you want to join us, great. If not, that's okay too. And you want to go explore the park or go somewhere else, that's awesome. This is a DIY, so a do-it-yourself day. I'm just going to be helping in the morning, just leader setups, and again, just sharing some bugs that might be helpful for you all to use while you're there. We're gonna still do the Saturday night hang. I tried getting, so West Yellowstone now has a casting pond. I tried so hard to get the casting pond and get access to it, and it just didn't happen. So we paid to reserve for the pavilion again. So many of you have been there during the pavilion. We're going to mix it up a little bit, and we're going to do a fly fishing Olympics. And that's all I'm going to say. It's a lot of fun, and it's interactive, and we're going to have a fun time. But I really wanted to open this question up to everybody that's on. I know that people are going to be fishing on Saturday, and I know sometimes it's hard. Last year we were from 6 to 8, and that's right at dinner time. I know we had used that, some people brought appetizers, but others wanted to support local and shop at the restaurants. So a quick, if you wouldn't mind, in the chat, and Erin, I'll have you kind of look through this, but we'd love to know. We haven't set the time yet for this hang. So if you wouldn't mind just sharing in the chat what time you would like to see that. It gets dark at 9, and I think we have the pavilion till 10. I know that that's late, and I'm old. I go to bed fairly early, so that's too late for me. But it'd be nice to see what time you would like to see the hang, as well as, do you want us to say for everyone to bring food and appetizers, or should it just be where you bring a non-alcoholic beverage and you just hang out for an hour and then everybody goes and does breakfast, or everyone does dinner? So just feel free to please utilize the chat, because we'll decide those details based on your answers and your response. Just continuing on. So different area resources, there's a ton. And, this area is the fly fishing mecca of the West, truly. So there's so many places to go and to fish. All of these links are listed on our website, on the registrant website, also in your email, as well as you're going to get this PDF again. But, fish Montana river maps, fishing Yellowstone. It's not a bad idea just to Google or use whatever internet search you want to use, like fly fishing, Yellowstone in June, and just start researching and start looking up a lot of this stuff. Montana Fish and Wildlife have great interactive maps, as does Yellowstone National Park. So again, our event locations, as far as the hang locations, so it's gonna be at Yellowstone Beer Company on Friday, the pavilion in West Yellowstone for Saturday, and then $3 Bridge on the Madison. So we've paid for all of the permits. We've gotten all of the, we're good. So those are going to be our 3 main locations for this event. As far as meals go, you're on your own. Friday night, if you do come to the hang, which we highly encourage you to do, we do also, like I said, just encourage you to eat and drink at Yellowstone Beer Company. Saturday, we'll kind of figure out if we're going to do appetizers or what kind of that Saturday night's going to look like. So camping, there's so much camping around. I know many people are going to be camping at the Beaver Creek Campground. Many people are camping in C Loop. I know some are also camping in B Loop. It's a pretty big campsite, campground. So if you're in B Loop, you're going to have to drive to C Loop. But I believe that there are still some campsites there. So it's a really great location on the Upper Madison, absolutely beautiful drive in, and some really good fishing around that area. And education, this is a part of it. We want to help and provide education for you all to kind of get you started and feel comfortable fishing this area. When we're looking at fishing, we're looking at different species. There's all kinds of different species that you can catch while you're here. You can actually catch different species of cutthroat trout as well, but brook trout, brown trout, grayling, rainbow trout, Yellowstone cutthroat, whitefish. There's all kinds of fish that you can catch in all of these different waters. Now, as far as fishing licenses go, so no state license is required in Yellowstone, but you have to have a Yellowstone Park fishing license. Also, if you're fishing Henry's Fork, that's in Idaho. So you need an Idaho license. If you're going to be fishing the Madison, that's in Montana. So you need a Madison or you need a Montana license. So potentially you might need 3 licenses. So it all is just dependent on wherever you're going to be fishing. And again, all of these links are going to be listed on that website. Lots and lots of regulations, and regulations are going to be different in Idaho, going to be different in Montana, as well as Wyoming if you're in part of Yellowstone. One of the biggest ones is that their felt-soled footwear is prohibited in Yellowstone National Park. So if you have felt-soled shoes, they cannot be worn in Yellowstone. That's where a Vibram sole is going to be needed. Just continuing on, and I'm gonna be opening this up definitely to Catherine and Alice as well for just help with DIY and local fishing areas. But equipment, so 4 to 6 weights, great. Average 9-foot rod, weight forward floating line. You can get everything done with that. Kind of with leader wise, this is earlier season, so you could probably get away with a 3 or a 4X leader. Not a bad idea though to carry some 5, 6X tippet. You never know. There can be some snobbier fish or more educated fish out there. But 3 to 4X leaders are going to be good with like 3, 4, 5X tippet spools. Obviously, first aid kits, snacks, change of clothes, waiting staff, and bear spray. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. Clothing, always bring a rain jacket. Last year, it was cold. Like we were all wearing puffies, we were wearing beanies or puffers if you're on the East Coast, however you want to say it. But it was a little chilly. And then the next day it was sunny and 80 degrees. So just prepare for all temperatures. You're in Montana, you could get snow. And then that afternoon, you can get 80 degrees and it's hot. And now mosquitoes are biting you, right? So just prepare for all things. Boots and waders are recommended. Again, felt-soled boots are prohibited in the park. If you need to borrow equipment, so I have I have 5 and 6 weight kits that can be borrowed, as well as like 8 different pairs of waders and boots from all sizes, from like a women's medium all the way to a double XL, as well as different boot sizes. So we do have a form. All you have to do is just fill out the form. I ask that you just fill it out by June 12th. It's first come, first serve. So I will, I keep an eye on this and keep track of it all with the logistics just to, because I only have a couple of each sizes of waders. So, but just fill that out if you need something. Again, we want to make sure that everybody can be a part of this despite socioeconomic status. It's important that you have the equipment that you need. So we have rods, reels, boots, and waders. Women guides. So we have 5 different guides that are listed on the website. There's all kinds of other guides listed as well. They're busy, so I know it's hard for them to respond to emails or call out asking, if they wanted to be included. Alice, you met already, and then Aurora, Dinah, Kara Tripp, and then Catherine. So I know that many of these women are already booked, but highly recommend too that if they're already booked and then you're going back, or if you're going to plan another trip, or if you're going to have friends that go, just, it's always good to have word of mouth and just recommend all of these women, because it's just great to support women guides. So we already introduced Alice. I'll just scroll through these. Aurora's here. Dinah works for Big Sky Anglers. She's doing some of the education as well as putting on some different events. Kara Tripp, I don't think Kara's on. Kara is up in Bozeman, owns Damselfly. And then we have Catherine as well. So And there's tons of local fly shops. So this is where, I'm sure you all have your favorite local fly shop that you've built a community with around your own home. But if you do come in the area, again, we're highly encouraged to shop small, support local, pick up a few flies, and just go in and say hello too. You never know who might be in there. We're in Yellowstone in Montana. You never know what celebrity might be in there, but also just getting, kind of that insight information. And there's shops everywhere from Ennis, Montana to Island Park to West Yellowstone. So there's shops everywhere, Big Sky and Bozeman. There's lots and lots of options as far as where to buy your gear. Different women's groups. So there's 2 women's groups in Montana, the Missoula Fly Gals and the Montana Fly Gals. Montana Fly Gals are out of Bozeman. Missoula is obviously out of Missoula. So great way to connect with other women that are in Montana. And DIY fishing. So as far as DIY fishing goes, there's a couple of blogs that we have shared onto the website as well as in all of your emails. So these are just all clickable. Again, this PDF will be clickable so you can go into all of this. With these fish and hangs, we're providing you a lot of the research. We've done a lot of the work for you, but it also takes some work for you too to put in. So we're hoping that you'll be able to read some of this and just be prepared. Like I said, in our Montana That Registrant website, so here it shows, and I'm updating this all the time via our Google Maps for the Montana Fish and Hang, but the DIY fishing locations, $3 bridge, I'll just slowly start adding a few more sites. There's service in most areas ish. What I would say though is make sure that if you're using Google Maps or if you're using Apple Maps or whatever you're using, that you look at the map and you do your directions while you're in service, because there are spotty sections up on the Upper Madison, definitely in the park. The park doesn't have very much cell phone coverage. So just looking that up and having an idea of where you're going, screenshotting maps or whatever you might need to do.
Heather, just a quick plug. I've done this for all of our fish and hangs. I download offline maps and you can do that really quickly at home. And it's super helpful. Just in case you are in a dead spot and didn't think ahead. It just takes a couple minutes to do right now.
Cool. And is that just through Google Maps, or how do you download maps?
Yeah, so if you go to Google, if you have a Google account and you go to your picture up in the top corner, you can go to, I think it says offline maps. I do it on my phone actually, and then you can zoom in or out for the entire area. So like I just did it for Oregon yesterday, and I have like I don't know, it's probably like 200 miles north and south and maybe 200 miles east and west, and then it allows you then to just download it to your phone and it stays there for a year. So
okay.
yeah, so yeah, just if you go, I think it's the 3 dots by your name, you can just, and it says online maps. It's through Google Maps actually, the Google Maps app.
Cool. Perfect. And Trout Routes does that too. So you can actually download a specific area in Trout Routes as well. So either or, definitely recommend doing that because service can be a little spotty, which is good because we don't want to have service. We want to be out enjoying the outdoors and not looking at our phones. So not a bad thing. As far as places to fish, there's so much. There's so many tributaries. There's so many places to go. So if you're looking for solitude and you don't want to fish with a bunch of people on a social fishing morning on Saturday, you have options. So, just even looking up fishing West Yellowstone, click on images, or fishing West Yellowstone maps, click on images, and you'll start to find a lot of this information. And when I'm utilizing a Google search, I use Google, and when I'm utilizing it, I literally will put sentences in just to have a more refined search. So don't be afraid to ask it an entire question. Also, I know many of you are afraid of ChatGPT, but don't be. AI can be great for certain things. And AI can also help you find locations. So ChatGPT, you could put what are the top 5 places to fish near West Yellowstone in June? Boom, it'll share some information. So Lots of resources out there. There's tons and tons of rivers, Firehole, Gallatin, Gibbon, Henry's Fork, Lamar, Madison, Yellowstone Lake. There's tons and tons of places. The Lamar, that's over on the other side of Yellowstone. And last year it was a little high for that time of year. So it wasn't really fish. That tends to be, right, Alice, a little bit later in the season versus right now. But if we have low water, it might be fishing really well. Several of us went and fished the Gibbon, and we also fished the Fire Hole. I'm sure that there's a specific species, but it was the white caddis hatch at night. It was the most fun fish. It was incredible. The hatch was incredible and the fish were eating. It was so much fun. And the Gibbon was really good to us too. So, just exploring the park can be fun. What I will say though is make sure that you know the regulations. So based on certain features and like the grand prismatic, like that spring. So that's the fire hole is going to run through there. You can't fish within a certain distance of certain features. So make sure again that you know those regulations before you go. As far as hatches go, and there's a lot happening in June, hence why we decided to choose this area. A lot of really bigger bugs. Hopefully we are able to see maybe some salmon flies, hopefully some golden stones, probably some yellow sallies, maybe some green drakes. That would be pretty cool. Lots of caddis. There were a ton of PMDs last year, lots of mayflies, even a few BWOs. It was colder, so there were still some March browns. Yeah, it was a really if it's prime, we can have an incredible amount of hatches. And I know that on the fire hole where we were at, that white caddis hatch tends to be earlier in the season. So because it was cold, we were able to experience that. So I hope you all are able to experience that as well. It was fun. Like it was really, really cool. All different types of techniques. So dry dropper, subsurface, Euro, streamers. I'm just going to go through some different leader examples, and then I'm going to open it up to Alice and Catherine. So whatever I miss, I would love for you all to help with that. But fly suggestions. So last year it was really great. We had the different women guides give their top 10 suggestions, and all of that is listed on the registrant website. So Hendricks, Quill Gordon's, Adams, if you don't know what any of these fly suggestions are, just Google them. So put in salmon fly patterns, click on images, and you'll see what those look like. You can open up your fly boxes and start to find them. Green drakes, terrestrials. And then these are just kind of the top, different women's top 10 flies. And again, all of this is listed on the registrant website. So I'm not going to go through every single one, but you can find all this information on the website. Dinah did, kind of gave sizes and all of that as well. Leader examples. So I'm just going to go through this, and then I'm going to open it up. Single dry, pretty easy way. When I did an Idaho Q&A on Monday for another event that I'm doing right before this one. And, some of these leaders can be overwhelming. So what I'm going to tell everyone and encourage everyone is just keep it simple, right? You don't have to use all of these different leaders. There's just some anglers that's where they're at within their journey, and they want to use different leader examples. Or they're super nerdy and they want to get their bug at a certain, place in the water column or whatnot. But if a single dry fly or a single subsurface fly can get the job done. So don't feel overwhelmed. Just keep it simple. Don't feel overwhelmed by all of these examples. But we want to share some of them with you. Single dry. Hopper dropper setup. So this could be a bigger dry fly. Terrestrials probably aren't going to be out during this time. You never know, but this hopper could also be just a large dry fly. So basically it's a big dry fly, and then you can have, as your dropper, can either be a dry dropper or a subsurface dropper. So really it depends. And all of these link suggestions as well all depend also. So I always say don't be leader lazy. So meaning change your indicator based on the section of water you're fishing, but also change your dropper length too. If you are fishing a long, long, deep run and you're just not catching any fish, but your previous section of water you were catching fish, just lengthen your leader and go a heavier dropper, just kind of get that fly to the water column where those fish are feeding. Here, this is probably going to be a fairly a setup that most people are going to use. This Henry Fork Stone, it's Mike Lawson Henry Fork Stone, very famous fly, basically a chubby Chernobyl that's in a natural color. I've caught trout all over the world with this fly. So this is one of my confident go-to flies. And then I tend to, based on wherever I'm fishing, I might have a 12-inch dropper, or I might go all the way to 48 inches, right? 4 feet. It all depends on whatever section of the river that you're fishing. So play around with those different lengths. Again, keeping in mind that your larger dry fly has to hold whatever fly you have on the bottom. So if it's a really heavy nymph or really heavy, this is the Pat's rubber leg that's beaded. So if it's really heavy, you need something bigger to obviously keep it afloat. Don't be afraid to fish a soft hackle. This is a great way, very, very easy way, just a 4X 9-foot leader, little non-slip loop knot with a little wet fly. Oh, such a fun, incredible way to fish. Different ways that you can set up different subsurface. You can use weight, you can go a hook bend, so this could be your dropper, or you can do a tag end. Again, I'm always thinking, where in the water column am I going to be fishing my fly? So if we're in the middle of a hatch, you know that things are happening underneath. So I tend to put on a wet fly because I know that those insects are starting to emerge to become adult caddis and or midges and or adult mayflies. So having a soft hackle kind of in the middle water column and then having some sort of a heavier subsurface fly can be very, very effective. Double surface, so or a single nymph setup or subsurface setup. This is with weight. It's all optional. Strike indicator. You can use a strike indicator. Many people use cider, or they'll do a barrel knot with tag ends. There's all kinds of ways that you can see if your fly is being eaten. Whether you use a strike indicator or bobber, that's totally up to you. But just having some way that you can see if that subsurface fly is being eaten. You can do it double, so you can do, again, off the hook bend. And then the other way here is just off of a tag end. So there's lots and lots of ways that you can set up all of these leaders. All of these lengths and sizes are all suggestions. So play around with it. And if you feel like you're using 3X and you have fish coming up, they're kind of snubbing you, or they're just looking at it and coming back down, just lengthen your leader and go smaller in diameter. So go to 4X, maybe a smaller fly. So just kind of working with that and trying to trick the fish, basically. Deep, slow pools. So just you're slowing everything down. You can dead drift a streamer. So don't, dead drift. You can jig it. You can do all kinds of things with strip it, swing it, whatever. So those are just the leader setups that I have. I'm going to stop the share. And then Alice and Catherine, do y'all have any other suggestions, or what would you say, or DIY, kind of tips that you specific to the area, fisheries, that kind of stuff, bugs, anything you want. We're here for you. We're here to listen.
Sure. Well, thank you for that comprehensive presentation. And we can't predict the weather, so we'll just see what happens when we get to the end of June. But I think it's good. We should have hatches somewhere. And as some of you experienced last year, it just might mean going farther upstream, or finding, if the main part of the Madison's a little bit off color, or if it's high because we're at the tail end of runoff still, just going upstream is probably your better option. And think about elevation too. Like you mentioned, the Lamar wasn't a good option. Looking at a map, just asking around, certain rivers start at such high elevation here that they don't come into shape till later in the season. So lower elevation streams are going to be your better choice in June. Gallatin can be great. Yeah, like you mentioned, the Gibbon, the Madison, the Firehole, those are all good options. A couple non-related fishing things that I thought of through your presentation, just to reiterate, the lack of cell service in areas or the lack of being able to communicate. It's for real. Have a plan. And anybody on here who's tried to reach me is like, oh, your voicemail's full. It's because I didn't have cell service all day long. My voicemail fills up. And then I get 18 text messages at the end of the day, all when I have cell service when I get to town. So make plans with your friends for where you need to be, and just realize you may not have cell service when you get there. Look at your maps, have your thing figured out of where you're going to meet somebody, and assume that you're not going to have the ability to get out of text. And also traveling in the park, there can be bison jams, bear jams. I like to tell people, I'm going to meet you at a certain place at a certain time, and we're all going to be there regardless. And if you're a half hour late, it's what it is. Like, you could get stopped in wildlife jams, and just enjoy the drive, and hopefully your friends stay at that picnic area and still meet you there. Speaking of equipment, there are places in West Yellowstone and inside Yellowstone National Park where you can rent bear spray. And I would highly recommend that everybody in your group, or every 2 to 3 people that are going to be off fishing together as a group, have bear spray. The big open meadows where you think I can see all the way around me, you still could have a mama and 2 cubs walk up to you. Ask me on Friday night. And so there's opportunities for bear spray. If you're with a fishing guide, they're going to have some for you to borrow. You know, it's out there. Do a little research. Please ask. We don't want anybody to get hurt in the backcountry. And as far as equipment goes, if there's somebody else who needs fishing equipment or rentals for waders and boots, through one of the hosts, Kelly or Aaron, please reach out. I have some rentals that I can lend out during this event. We could probably work with a fly shop if we have more than 8 people who need waders and boots to rent. Or if you show up in town and you've got felt-soled boots, and maybe you got corkers and you can't find your soles, like whatever, don't let it stop you from going fishing. Just reach out to somebody and we'll get you a pair of boots.
Awesome. And I'll do some research too, and I'll make sure when I send out the 1 month out email that I have some lists of where you can rent bear spray. Because if you are flying, you can't fly with bear spray, so you'll want to rent that. And was a question here about guns. Guns are not allowed in the park, and actual research shows that bear spray is more effective than a gun. We did a presentation, actually, Anna Lay, who's going to be at the event. She did a presentation on animal safety. And so that's on our YouTube channel that you can watch. But basically with bears, it's don't run. I mean, that's one of the biggest ones is, don't run. And there's other things too. So I can share some links with that. I'll share the animal safety presentation so you can watch that ahead of time as well. But yeah, you're going to see some buffalo for sure. So
Heather, the question was about a bear spray gun. So it's like the type of sprayer. I'm guessing I have a pepper spray that I have that's like that. So
I think
not for
most bear
bears.
sprays are just the big, like bear spray,
Canisters.
pepper spray, and those are allowed in the park for sure.
yeah. Yeah. And I'll send an email, or I'll send a link too, because you're going to want to know how to use the bear spray. Like, right, if you have it, there are, how to sweep it, how to undo it. So I'll send a link with that too. Again, just preparing you with that information. We don't want to scare anybody, but there's grizzly bears in this area. So it's and black bears. So it's important.
Heather, to answer your bear spray rental question,
Yes.
the YBC building, like right in the entranceway, has a little bear spray rental area. They're like little lockers where you can rent the bear spray for the day. And I think if you don't return it, it charges you like the full price or whatever.
Okay.
But right, just where YBC is, right when you walk in the door to the left, there's bear spray rental lockers there.
Awesome.
And YBC is Yellowstone Brewing Company.
Yes.
They were having the event on.
It's the Madison Crossing where that it's all in the same building, Madison Crossing Lounge.
Awesome.
Restaurant,
Okay.
YBC.
Well, let's support them. That's awesome. Perfect.
And you cannot fly with bear spray.
Correct.
Yeah. And
Please don't get busted by TSA on your way to see
or
us.
you don't want it to explode and something happen or whatever, you know.
No.
Yeah, being as safe, being safe is important. Catherine, anything else to add to all of the information?
I would just say, stop in the local fly shops for the best fly advice. You know, those kids, I mean, there'll be young kids in there, but they really know. You know, they might be 20 or 19 or whatever, but they really know what they're doing. So ask them where to go, what to do. Like Alice said, if the Madison is dirty, go in the park. It's not quite the same river, but it's just upstream. You know, the fire hole, the Gibbon is awesome. So the Madison is great. Yeah, it's really depends on weather.
Yeah. And what I would say too is utilize the Facebook group. So throughout the weekend also, like, you know, and our team will be like sharing photos and whatnot, but share that information also, like, hey, this is, you know, we were down near Ennis, it was dirty, but we went up, you know, in the park on the upper Madison and it was clean, or it was clean above Quake Lake or whatever it might be. So again, these are not, we're not honing or keeping secrets. We want to make sure that everyone has a successful and fun weekend. So just sharing all of this knowledge and, you know, if you see women fishing, honk, wave, you know, be ridiculous and say hello. And, you know, like I said, you never know what lifelong friends you're going to meet. So, and it's pretty incredible to see. And for us to bring this many, I think we had, last year about 100 women or 100 people came to the event last year. Now, not everyone showed up for every hang, and that's what it's all about. These are all kind of like a la cartes, right? Like you choose whatever you want to do. If the fishing is amazing and so hot on Friday, don't come to Yellowstone Brewing Company. You should keep fishing, you know, like, so we understand that we hopefully will see you and say hello, but if the fishing's good, keep fishing, you know, but we just want to make sure we're offering different opportunities for people to connect and come together and, you know, meet each other and hang, you know, because like Rachel said, Finn said, it's all about the hang. And the only other thing I'm going to say is conservation considerations. We chose Yellowstone or this area because there's a ton of water. And, you know, it's always important to think wherever you're going that we're not going to be overrunning an area with people. And so there's so much water. So you're going to be kind of spread out everywhere. Be mindful of just keeping your fish wet. A wet bare hand is best. You know, it's 10 seconds or less when you're taking photos, and that's accumulative. Being mindful of where the fish's heart is. Don't squeeze kind of up in the upper part, right basically by its gills. You can you know, hold a fish's tail pretty tight, but just be gentle with the fish. And don't be afraid to, like, we want to see all the photos. Like, we want to see friends and people and animals and sunsets and rainbows and, well, rainbow fish, but also rainbows. It's also Pride weekend. So we're going to be with the original native species that celebrates pride, which is rainbow trout. So that's pretty amazing. Well, I guess they're not native, wild rainbow trout, you know. So, you know, yeah, it's just take pictures and have fun. And we want to just show everybody, you know, that that women fish and all people fish, and we get out there and we just do it and have a good time. So I would love to open it up to Q&A. I know it's 5:57 or 6:57, or for Aaron, it's probably like almost 10 o'clock at night. Or I guess it's 9 o'clock at night, but questions. Aaron, was there any questions in the Q&A that we should answer that wasn't answered?
Catherine and Alice have been answering quite a few about Catherine reminded somebody that the upper Yellowstone above the falls isn't open to fishing until after July 1. It does seem that there was a consensus of 6 to 8 seems to be the ideal time. People are looking forward to getting back to their campsites before dark, and other people are interested in going to a pub afterwards to continue hanging out if that's an option. But
That's always an option, duh. No.
that seems to be the overall 6 to 8 seems good. There is bear spray at Costco. Alice informed that there's a 2-pack there as well. And then Laura's asking if there, for anybody that's camped at Beaver Creek before, is there anything specific we should know about the campground?
It's beautiful. It's amazing. You may or may
It is
not have
beautiful.
service. That could be a thing. Also, it's bear country, so there are bear food storage boxes there. So you'll put all of your food and everything in. And think about too, if you're sleeping in a tent, to put your toiletries in that bear box too. So think about just smelly scents,
Chapstick, deodorant, toothpaste, all
shampoo.
of that.
Yeah, all of that. And anybody feel brave enough that wants to ask a question, not in the chat, just with your video. We love seeing and talking to people.
We do have another question
Yeah.
about, Jane asked about public versus private water and landowner rights, et cetera, versus private marking. I know trout routes is a great option to try to use to look at land markations. Do you have any other tips, Heather?
It's high water mark in Montana, correct? Yeah, so
Yeah, you're looking for the first permanent vegetation. Grass is not permanent vegetation. So you can walk on the bank in places as long as you're below the permanent high water mark. So where that water typically goes seasonally, is fine. So a lot of the access points may start out with a state fishing access point where there's a parking lot and a restroom. There might be an adjacent campground, and then you want to walk up or downstream. Just be mindful that you can't be walking up through the trees and what looks like through somebody's front yard to get to the river. And etiquette is super important in all of these areas in Yellowstone and in on the Madison. And so if I'm walking up what looks like the fisherman's path and there's clearly somebody standing there fishing the bank, I'm probably going to let them know I see them. And if I can engage them in a little bit of conversation, I might ask, are you headed upstream or downstream? And they may say, I'm only going as far as that rock or that log. Or yes, my plan was to fish this whole riffle. And that gives me an opportunity to say, do you mind if I walk on the bank? Or maybe I see them working on a fish. I wait a few minutes, try to be patient, and then I walk way past where they're fishing. And I do my best to give a little bit of a berth so I'm not spooking their fish, and then just kind of keep moving upstream. And as long as you're below that high water mark, you should be fine. The landowners on the Madison, for the most part, get it that they have built a house and are sitting on their porch that's overlooking the Madison. And, I walk by, I say hi and keep going. And you can, get away from that spot anyway and keep walking up or downstream to fish. So Idaho is similar in the high water mark for walking and wading. It's a little more challenging in certain spots, but I think Madison, you should have a lot of accessible fishing from the Forest Service down below Quake Lake and fishing access sites that are public all the way to Ennis. So a lot of different access points there.
yeah. And that's why, I mean, the public land is amazing how much access there is, and outhouses and, boat launches and all the things. So the Madison can be busy. I mean, it's a very, very busy river. And if you're floating it with a guide, you might see 20 plus other boats on the same float, but know that there's a lot of fish in the river, and, the guides that you're with, you'll be fishing different areas and whatnot, but there's a lot of tons and tons of DIY fishing in all of the areas. It can be a little slippery, rocky, so being mindful, taking your time, using a wading staff, just being safe when you're walking wading. And Angie's not on here, but she had an episode where she was on the upper and one of her friends ended up crossing the river and couldn't cross back, and they had to call for rescue. So don't cross a river, or don't go to an island if you think you're not going to be able to get back, or if it's scary, don't do it. So that's my word of advice. And yeah, what other?
I've got a question.
Yes.
Okay,
Hi.
Hi, what are your thoughts on bringing a dog? Best left at home, or have other people brought dogs before? I know you can't really have them in the park.
You can have them in your car in the park, but obviously not off leash, and can't have dogs anywhere on trails in the park. But I'm bringing my dog, but my house allows pets, so that's going to be kind of how I'm getting away from that. Um, we're dog friendly. I Fish I Belong is a dog friendly organization. So if your dog,
All inclusive.
yeah, we are all inclusive to all species of all things. But if if your dog's on a leash, you take care of it. It's not it's being respectful of other people's water. That's the biggest thing, is when you're with a group of people and your dog's not in the water,
Yeah.
scaring the fish. Absolutely. So I think it's something for you just to decide if if it's hot, it's not a good idea, obviously, to keep your or your dog in the car. So it's kind of, that choice.
There
Yeah.
is one spot in town that does dog babysitting.
Oh,
I
I
know
wondered.
they
I
fill
didn't
up pretty
see it.
quick. I could
It's
definitely
Doggy.
doggy
Nikki's place,
daycare,
right? I
and
forget.
it's Nikki and Kevin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I think I looked at it. It's $160 for the day.
Yes. It's
Yep.
pricey, and I think they only have 3 or 4 spots every day.
Right. All right. So I have a cabin. I can leave them in the cabin.
There you go.
What kind of dog do you have? I saw how big it was.
Portuguese water dog, 50
Oh,
pounds, 52.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome. Well, I
He's a
hope
cutie.
you bring him. I want to meet him. So
Yeah, I think you met him. I was at a couple of Junes ago. I was at the local Idaho.
Yep. Well, I
Yeah.
can't wait to see him again.
Yeah,
So
we could just see everybody too.
yeah. So I know our team's gonna have like 6 dogs. Like everyone's bringing their dogs, because when we travel, we have to bring our dogs, and that's just, there are children versus
That's
no
good for
children.
him.
So yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. And I'm excited to see you in Oregon. I got all your email and everything. We're all good. So everything's merged, and you should be
Yeah.
getting great emails and all the
Thank
things.
you. And I snagged that casting spot just
Sweet.
now.
Good.
So
Very
thanks
good.
for all your help, everybody. That's just amazing, the amount of planning and work you do for us.
Well,
That's great. Thank you.
it's important. The logistic, it's a lot, but it's so important to create community, and that's what we're here for. So yeah.
Thanks.
A non-fishing lesson I learned last year as an East Coast driver and a lead foot admitted. The speed limit, I was driving in Idaho, is like 70 during the day, but then there were like 4 houses and I was in the process of slowing down. The cop was coming in the other direction. I'm in Waders. He made a U-turn to pull me over. Like I was slowing down. So if there's like 3 houses on the side of the road, the speed limit changes, you need to change on the drop of a dime. And I learned the hard way. He was very friendly, but I was actively slowing down. He did not care, and I got the ticket. So just be mindful and don't drive too fast in your waders. They don't care. Yeah, it was dumb, and Idaho took my money. So
I'll wear my nursing scrubs and a stethoscope, since that tends to get me out of a lot of tickets, so no, that's good advice, Erin. Thank you. There is grocery stores, so being mindful that we are in a community, that this is their home. So obviously it's great to support local as far as local grocery stores, but you also don't want to deplete the local grocery stores. So being mindful of, wherever you're driving, bringing groceries in, and then just kind of supplementing your local grocer in the area. There's 2 grocery stores in West Yellowstone, so there are options there. Tons and tons of food. There's lots of different restaurants. It's busy. People are there to see Yellowstone, to see it all. And just, so there's traffic in West Yellowstone. What's the population, like 400? But you might wait in line a long time for a light, and just embrace that and know that people are there for the same reason that you're there, and to see the beauty of it all. So, all right. One last question before we go. Anybody? Takers? Ooh. All right.
I would just say, Laura Forsberg, you are local to West Yellowstone. Is there something else that you would add that we didn't touch
Yes,
on from
please.
your fishing experience?
I
Over
would bring blue-winged olives. They hatch from 1 to 4 on the Madison, mile marker 8 or so.
Writing this down.
It's fantastic. The white caddis you're talking about are called white millers, and
Yeah.
Blue Ribbon Flies has a great supply of those. And as well as regular caddis. Salmon flies will be hatching halfway up the Madison in the park at that time. And it's just, it's totally amazing and totally awesome. I live on a spawning tributary, Duck Creek here, and there's rainbows jumping like crazy here. There, it's like an Alaskan salmon run. It's really amazing. So looking forward to seeing everybody here. It's wonderful.
Awesome. Thank you for that information. Yeah, Blue Ribbon Flies. So get your Miller caddis. They're
White Miller.
White Millers. They're White Millers. I think they were out of them because it was so
Ooh.
maybe order them now, and have them shipped to you or have them on hold. That's not a bad idea, actually. Cool. Thank you, Laura. It'll be great to come into all your homes and just your home area, and just thank you for bringing us in, for welcoming us and just being a part of the community. We really appreciate Catherine and Alice and Laura. Thank you all so much. So
What time do we show up at your house, Laura?
Happy hour is
nice.
anytime when you're off the water.
I love it. I love it. Awesome. All right, y'all. Thank you so much again. This will be recorded. I'll edit it a little bit, put it up on YouTube. I'll send out the 1 month out email. Utilize the Facebook group. So and the registrant website. If you haven't looked at it yet, it's through your emails. I'll make sure we post it again. But all of this information that we just talked about is going to be listed in that website. So yeah, and just if there's any other questions that aren't answered on anything, feel free to just reach out to us, the co-host, myself, iFishiBelong@gmail.com. We're here for you. We want you to have a fun experience where you feel empowered with knowledge and just getting out there on the water. So we look forward to seeing everybody. Thank you all again. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Alice. Thank you, Erin. Nice to see you all. Thank you to everybody.
Thank
And
you.
we'll see you in a month. Happy fishing. See ya.
Thank you.